If you are white and live in the United States, you're probably a racist. I am. Most people don't want to be racist, but science has proven that most white people have an implicit bias against people of color. In fact, since you were a very young white person, you were fed negative stereotypes. Good guys wear white hats, bad guys wear black hats, and on and on. That's why implicit racial bias is built into our society. That's why unarmed black men are shot by police more often than unarmed white men. It's why the white guy gets the job over a black person with the same qualifications. Even if you say, I voted for Obama, or I have lots of black friends, yep, you're probably still racist, because your subconscious has trained you to be that way. And if you're asking yourself the question, am I a racist? You probably are. And if you say, I'm not a racist, you most certainly are. Here's how I discovered I was a racist.
All right, Token, give me a smooth bass line.
I don't know how to play bass.
Token, how many times do we have to go through this? You're black, you can play bass.
I'm getting sick of your stereotypes.
Be as sick as you want, just give me a goddamn bass line.
God damn it.
That's right, all black people do not play the bass, but that hasn't stopped me from thinking it and occasionally asking. So stop asking yourself, am I a racist? And start asking, what can I do to stop the racism I see in the world? And get off my lawn.
You say that all whites are racist. Can you expound on that, please?
Any white person who was born, raised, and schooled in the United States of America, if you aren't a racist, you're a miracle. Either that or you decided to educate yourself. Because education in this country is about white is right, brown's all right, black's got to stand back. Yellow's mellow, but whites, we educate in a way that says that white males have done all the adventures, have made all the adventures, have done all the discovering, have made all, everything that is good and has been accomplished according to social studies, which is actually anti-social studies, by white males. It's a lie. But we do that in order to maintain the myth of white superiority.
Jane did a really good job here. Let's talk about her point on if you're not racist, it's a miracle. If it sounds crazy to you, it's not. In the United States, we learn through a white male perspective. The history books that we read are written by white men. The media that we consume have been written by white men, is currently controlled by white men. It affects our subconscious thinking. Because Americans are forced to view the world through a white male perspective, we are consuming the white male's perspective on the truth. We're not consuming the neutral truth. Another special thing about what Jane presented here is this lack of blame. She's not blaming the average American. She's not saying, oh, hey, you're a bad person. She's simply explaining how unbelievably unlikely it would be to be American, raised in the American school system, and to not be subconsciously racist. It's just really, really, like, virtually impossible. It would be miraculous. Remember that word she used, miracle. We're raised by the white male perspective. It will still affect all of us. By acknowledging the effect, whether we're purposely racist or not, we're able to address it thoughtfully.
Hello there, folks. I really hope you're doing fine from whichever part of the world you're watching this from. Thank you so much for clicking, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Dave KE, and this is Real Talk Black. So yeah, in the recent years and months, we have seen more and more white folks coming out to openly condemn and correct each other for their racist behavior towards the black folks. And we have seen so many of them, especially women, coming out to call out their own. And these people are actually coming out to they are trying to explain this systemic racism that is put in them right from birth, how they are told that anything that any color that is like them, that is white, is good, and brown or black is not good. and it's associated to danger, all that, people with dreadlocks, tattoo, and all that. And they're just trying to to educate the public and show them that this is something that they've grown knowing. It's something that was put in them when they were young, and they found themselves practicing racism without even knowing. And right now that they're old enough, they're coming out to actually condemn these, racist behaviors in the society. We have people like Tim Wise, people like George White, Jane Elliott, who have devoted their lives to, fight racism and push the anti-racism campaigns. We have, we have a lot of these folks now coming out to explain that. So I came across a few accounts or a few of these people that are now currently championing for anti-racism. So let's have a look at these few clips and then have a really quick discussion and a roundup at the end of it all. Thank you, and I'll see you guys around.
If you're really committed to being a racist in this country, you can't unsee what I'm about to show you. You might want to start checking Amazons for blankets, because this gas furnace behind me, you don't get to have one of those either, because that was invented by a black woman named Alice Parker around 1920. She received a patent on it. Yeah, that's how we stay warm today. I mean, if you love potato chips, they gotta go, because a man named George Crumb, a chef in New York, had sent French fries out with a meal and a customer complained. So what did Mr. Crumb do? He sliced potatoes so thin, fried them up, dumped a bunch of salt on them, and sent them out. And that is the American delight of potato chips. They gotta go. Here in the bathroom, Lotta Newman patented the first hairbrush with synthetic bristles in 1898, and she's just the third Black American woman to ever receive a patent. Now, I know this isn't going to affect those skinheads very much. In 1892, George Sampson of Dayton, Ohio, received patent number 476,416 for what is the forerunner of the modern dryer we use today. It's going to suck drying your clothes outside. In the late 1880s, Samuel Scotron of Pennsylvania patented the curtain rod. Woo, let's go piss off some white girls. It's going to be really hard to plan racist rallies without a color monitor. Invented by Mark Dean, an engineer at IBM, he is also on 3 of the original 9 patents of the IBM PC that came out in 1981. Did you know in 1897, Albert Crowell in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, developed the mechanized ice cream scoop? You know, the click, click that separates the ice cream from the spoon, changing the way ice cream is served. And if you're racist and an ice cream lover, it's going to get worse. I told you it's going to get worse. Augustus Jackson, the father of ice cream, pioneered many of the methods we have today to enjoy ice cream, including the way we salt it. Another thing about being a racist, you're going to have to give up the freezer and frozen foods, because Frederick McKinley Jones of Ohio, who was orphaned at 9 years old with a 6th grade education, a young biracial boy, grew up to invent Thermo King, which is the reason why we have frozen foods that are shipped and stored in stores and our homes. You got to give up ice cream and frozen pieces? So if you still want to be a racist, there are some things you're going to need to purge from your life. If you would, just put it out on the curb. I'll send some trucks around to pick it up, and we'll go give it to real Americans who really need it. Have a great day.
I am, guys, for the first 35 years of my life or so, I was incredibly prejudiced towards a lot of people. I did not have empathy for other human beings that were not just like me. It was taught to me. I was brought up around it. I feel terrible about it, and I've been doing everything I can since I really truly became aware of how awful I was to turn it around and be a better human being. So I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you guys understanding.
So I was raised to be racist. My grandparents used the hard R. They called the store down the road the hard R store. They were probably some of the most racist people, and let me know that if I ever brought somebody home that wasn't a part of my race, that I would be disowned. And I must say, I definitely disappointed them, being this beautiful lesbian who married a Filipino woman. This is truly just to show you that even though you were raised in a household that was racist, homophobic, bigoted, you don't have to be that way. I grew up thinking that me being gay was one of the worst things. I remember sitting there and just being like, please God, let me just like a guy. Let me just like a boy. I don't want my family to hate me. I don't want them to disown me. I remember my mom telling me that if her kid ever came home and said that they were gay, that she was going to disown them as well. So, I mean, I grew up in a very, very strong household of, you know, you're going to do what I say and you can't be your own individual person. Look, you don't have to be your family. Just because you were raised that way doesn't mean that you can't grow. This day and age, we have so much knowledge out there to prove that these thoughts that they have is absolutely ridiculous. So be a good person. Love people. Love people. Okay? Just be good.
If you're still committed to being a racist in this country, you can't unsee what I'm about to show you. Part 4, racist healthcare. I mean, seriously, after everything I've shown you, if you're still committed to having prejudice and bias against people of color you don't even know, I'm really about to ruin your day.
It's raining outside, and I hear when white people hair gets wet, it smells like dogs, so I ain't dealing with that today. But if I still haven't convinced you yet, then I ain't gonna screw around. I'm just gonna go ahead and crush your healthcare dreams.
Let's just be real. Obamacare's not for you.
First off, how you gonna get there? Now, while Dr. Peter Safar, an Austrian anesthesiologist, is the one who created the modern ambulance at all, he picked men from the Freedom House, black men, there to train as paramedics on this ambulance. And these men were so good at what they did, they created a lot of the procedures that paramedics still use in training today. So you're not really going to ride the ambulance and be tended to by paramedics. And if you're driving your own car, don't think about running a red light. Oh, no. That was invented by Garrett Morgan, a black inventor in the early 1920s in Cleveland, Ohio, where he was also the first black American man in Cleveland to own a car. And he sold the rights to the traffic light to GE for $40,000, which they've made untold millions on. Okay, you somehow made it to the hospital while avoiding traffic lights. Good for you. There's one small problem. The first non-segregated hospital in American history is Providence Hospital in Chicago. It is still open. And it was created by Dr. Daniel Hale Williams, a black heart surgeon, in 1891. Not white people, a black doctor opened the first integrated hospital. And then on top of that, 2 years later, 1893, he became the first black American doctor to successfully perform heart surgery on a severe stab wound in the chest. And he actually helped pioneer a lot of procedures that helped get heart surgery moving along. Let's not even forget Dr. Vivian Thomas. This man started off as a janitor working for a white doctor, Dr. Alfred Blaylock, a noted heart surgeon. And along with him, he saw a problem with the way you connect lungs to bloodstreams, like in blue babies or cyanosis. And he invented a heart stent, which is a way to connect it. Now, in doing so, when they performed this on an 18-month-old white baby and saved her life, this was absolutely groundbreaking, kicking open the door to modern cardiology as we know it. So if you got heart problems, let me just take you out at the knees. To figure out what's wrong with you at a hospital, if you somehow got there, snuck in, tricked a cardiologist into looking at you and he needs to draw blood. The problem with that is Dr. Charles Drew, a black medical pioneer, the father of human blood as we know it, is the one who actually created our understanding of the way our blood plasma and platelets and all of it goes together. And he's also the one who developed techniques with blood plasma for transfusions, which saved untold thousands of lives in World War II. He's badass enough, they even started a medical school named after him in South Central Los Angeles. If you made it this far and you're still a hater. The hospital's out for you, that's obvious. But I guess you can always check out like a voodoo or witch doctor. They're Jamaican. Oh crap, they're black, aren't they? Native American medicine man. Person of color. You can slip across the border to Mexico. Brown. Chinese herbalist. Color. I guess you're kind of screwed. But I bet I know a lot of black insurance agents who will sell you life insurance really cheap. Let me know in the comments if you'd like a part 5, and have an amazing night.
Why should white people be the ones responsible for ending racism? I keep getting asked this question. Well, here's the answer. White people built the systems that created racism. White people benefit from racism, and racism is upheld, often silently, by us white people through white norms, white comfort, and white institutions. So if you're white like me, this isn't about guilt. It's about being responsible. We didn't create the system, but we are in it. And if we remain silent, we protect it. I'm not asking you to feel bad for being white. I'm asking you to start being honest about what your whiteness has protected you from and what that protection has cost others. Accountability doesn't mean taking the blame for everything. It means choosing no longer to be complicit, because the people being harmed the most by racism did not create it, and they shouldn't be the only ones fighting to dismantle it. As we benefit from this system, we have to play a role in dismantling it. So don't take this as an attack, take it as an invitation to show up. It isn't about shame, it's about integrity. It's about using our voice, our influence, and our presence to stop letting racism pass unchallenged. I'm the anti-racist mum, and if you're ready to join me on this journey of uniting and unlearning our social conditioning to create safer communities for all children and young people to thrive, click the link in my bio for some low-cost resources that will help you get started. And follow me for more content like this.
If you're committed to being a racist in this country, you can't unsee what I'm about to show you. Part 2. Do you see that little doohickey on the wall right there, the little white thing? That's called your thermostat. That's how you control your AC. That was invented by David Crossway, who got his engineering degree right here in Indiana at Purdue University. He's so cold, he designed the heating system for Radio City Music Hall and Rockefeller Center. Sorry, racists, no AC this summer. This is really going to mess your shit up. The porcelain toilet as we know it was designed by Thomas Elkins in 1872. Hey, come here. How many races does it take to change a light bulb? None. They don't want to be enlightened. Which is too bad, because the carbon filament in the light bulb that we've grown up and used, you know, that lights up really bright, was invented by Lewis Latimer, who's one of the chief engineers for Thomas Edison, and he helped design the telephone with Alexander Graham Bell. I mean, you can't even do something as simple as open the door, because that door handle was patented in 1878 by Osborne Dorsey. Yeah, sorry guys. I mean, I guess you probably were raised in a barn. And if you think you want to call all your buddies to come meet you at the laundromat so you can wash your white sheets together, because let's face it, if you're still a racist, you don't have a dryer, you don't have a gas furnace heater, you don't have a thermostat to control your AC, you can't open your doors without a doorknob, and you especially cannot call your buddies without the cell phone. You're going to have to get rid of these, like I said, because Henry Sampson, a black genius inventor, patented and invented the gamma ray process, which uses radio waves to transmit and receive audio signals, which is what makes cell phones able to communicate with each other, and changed all our lives significantly. Listen, in all seriousness, if you still really are committed to being a racist, it's getting hard in the yard out here for y'all, because I've now made you aware of some things that you didn't know. And this is just a tiny tip of the iceberg of all the ways people of color have improved our lives in measurable and quantifiable ways. Our world would not be nearly as far along as it has without the inventions and contributions of all these Americans. So, again, I hope that this opens your eyes a little bit to how much white and black culture are actually intertwined in a good and great positive way. Have a great evening.
White people need to talk more about race with their family and community. I know that this sounds counterintuitive because your feed is probably filled with white people talking about race when it is obviously an issue that affects people of color, but the problem is that it's perpetuated in white families in ways that they do not realize. I am trying to call out the racism that is either explicit or implicit among white circles. People act racist a lot of the time behind closed doors, which is something that I, as a white person, see a lot. It doesn't matter if I'm in Chicago, if I'm in rural California, if I'm in rural places, generally speaking, white people are racist in the US. And sometimes in ways that they don't even realize. So my goal with my content is to see this, to report on it, to encourage white people to evaluate critically what that means. Although it might seem like I'm trying to take away voices of people of color, I'm not trying to speak on the effects of racism or anything like that. I'm trying to talk about how it's systemic and encourage other white people to evaluate their biases, because I understand this because of the environment I was raised in, which is very conservative.
Why I stopped being a racist? Part 2. At one time, I very much was the enemy. So I think it's important that you can see sometimes into the mindset of somebody like I was, so maybe that we can better understand it going forward. And again, these are just my experiences, my opinions, and my thoughts. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that I had prejudice and bias and discrimination and bigotry inside me. I knew this. Understanding that it was wrong and accepting that my character was flawed was way more difficult. People see what they want to see. I'm absolutely guilty of that. I only sought out information that further proved my ideology the way I thought, no matter how wrong it was. But I did this over and over, and it just further reinforced in my head that what I was reading and hearing was true. Accepting that you have a massive character flaw is not easy for anybody of any race or gender. It sucks. But you have to admit it. You have to confront that the way you think is harmful and hurtful, and it's not healthy, and it's not accurate of all things. So I realized the first step was admitting it. The second step was learning to forgive myself. And that's a whole nother story in part 3. Have a great day.
How did white people build the system that created racism? Great question. Let's break this down. Racism, as we know it today, is a construct. It didn't always exist in the way that we think of it now. It was developed to justify one thing: power. During European colonial expansion from the 15th century onward, white European powers needed an excuse to justify things like slavery, genocide, expansion, extraction, land theft, and exploitation. So they created a hierarchy. White at the top, everyone else below. This was then written into science, law, education, and obviously religion. It was then used to justify slavery, genocides, and the building of empires on stolen land. So that's what I mean when I say white people built the system. It doesn't mean that white people are responsible for what happened 400 years ago, but it does mean the system was built to benefit whiteness. And that benefit is still showing up strong in who gets access, who gets protected, and who gets punished. So if white people built the system, we white people certainly have a role to play in dismantling it. That's not blame, it's accountability and responsibility. I'm the anti-racist mum, and if you're ready to unlearn your social conditioning, hit the link in my bio for low-cost resources that will help you do just that. And keep following me for more uncomfortable truths.
Why I stopped being a racist, part 1. I've been asked probably well over 1,000 times in the comments and messages why I chose to confront my own racism and my prejudice ideology. So I thought I'd just have an honest conversation with you and break it down over a few parts and let you see into the mind of someone like me
the way I grew up and the man I'm becoming. Now, here's the crazy thing. I've only ever known one racist in my life for sure, and that's me, because I can't speak into the hearts and minds of another human being and what they think and feel. That's not fair, and that's prejudicial of me. So I'm the only one I've ever known, so I feel I can speak with authority about this. I'm not calling out other people who are. This is simply about my evolution and the things I confronted and some of the difficulties and some of the beautiful parts of this. This is not an easy thing for me to do. This is kind of laying my soul bare. So if you would, let me know if this is something you want me to continue in the comments, please, because it's going to take a lot for me to invest emotionally to be open about this. Now, why is it I grew up with so much prejudice and bias and discrimination in my life? Well, I grew up in a small town in Arkansas, and I am Arkansas proud. Let me just say that right off the top. But I grew up with people who taught me these things, and it was instilled in me. I mean, it was just reinforced over and over. And then for the most part, I lived in an echo chamber of other people who thought the same thing. So I didn't know it was possible to think any other way. I was raised Christian. I cannot explain to you why my faith in God, my morality, and my racism took so long to cross paths. I can't explain it, but it probably took about 40 years to figure that out. There's a whole series of events in my life, I guess, ultimately that led up to this. And prison was probably one of the biggest catalysts, because when you're on 23-1 lockdown with someone of a different color from you in the same cell, you shut your mouth and you listen. You ask questions. And I had so many different cellmates from different countries, from different races and heritages. And it just really opened my mind. And sitting in prison, I had a lot of time to think. And I had some old timers tell me I need to do my time. Don't let my time do me. And those are good words of advice. But I started digging deep into myself and my flaws, and because I was probably the biggest asshole I knew at that time, and I wasn't proud of that at all. And I knew I needed to change if I wanted to live a productive and healthy life and just be somebody likable. I just couldn't see the world for the way it really was. And that breaks my heart that it took me so long to see it. But the beauty that is born from this change in me, or this growth, is just crazy. God is amazing. So if you want me to continue this, let me know and I'll do a part 2.
All right. Thank you so much for watching up until the end. If you're coming across the channel for the first time, please take a minute to like, subscribe, and share so that you can help me get to 5,000 subscribers. And there is normally a saying that is, a lot of people normally say this, that black folks are the blueprint. And by this, they mean that many of the things that are currently happening or going on in the world were actually invented by many black folks. As you've seen from the video, a lot of this technological stuff that we use in the industries, and all that were invented by black folks. But instead, what the white supremacists did is that they tried to ignore that and find a way to reinvent that and get their own credits for that. As you've seen from the videos, many of these white supremacists, they do not want black folks to be associated with any excellence, any invention, and all that. And that has seen many inventions by black people going into drain and trying to tweak so that they be like the ones who did that. And a lot of these inventions by black folks were, they shunned them, and they were the ones that are taking credit for that. So it is indeed very true that black folks, they built the systems that currently run America. The black folks had a major contribution to the growth of the U.S. economy and the country as a whole. The black people had very different contributions, and which were very crucial in the farms, in the industry, invention, education, and all that, which have since contributed to what we currently have in the United States. So again, I'm not saying that, just a disclaimer that not all white folks are bad. I have come across a few. I have interacted with a lot of them. I have friends and family who are married to white women and white men, and they're doing good, and they are, they're perfect. But then if you are a black man or a black woman who is looking into getting into a relationship with a white man or a white woman, then you have to make sure that their family is not racist, and they are willing to accept you as you are, as a black person, and just deal with the fact that that's who you are, which has not been easy. Many of the white families do not accept that, and if your family is not willing to accept that, then there is really no need of getting into that sort of relationship. So these white folks coming out to recognize this deep-rooted racism that is built, that is inculcated in them from childhood and all through. It's not guilt, but it's somehow a form of responsibility that they're coming out to say that our ancestors did this and this. Me, myself, we have been doing this and this without knowing we were being racist and all that. But then they're still, instead of complaining, they're taking responsibility for that, which is pretty much a good thing, because if you want to bring change in the world or in a country, then you have to first take responsibility for your faults, for your behaviors and all that, which I think is pretty much a good step, in the right step towards the end of discrimination, racism, segregation and all that. Then we all know of the redlining and Jim Crow laws that were, back then were put in place to try and stop black folk from rising into different levels of the society. And these Jim Crow laws were, to black and white. During that time, black and white people had separate schools, school buses, they had separate restrooms, restaurants, and etc. Black Americans were denied equal voting rights through literacy tests, poll taxes, and intimidation and all that. And violence and discrimination were legally or socially tolerated against black people during these policies of the Jim Crow laws. So these whole laws, redlining and Jim Crow laws, were all there just to maintain white supremacy and keep black Americans socially, politically, and economically inferior, which is currently happening in the United States. I think the current administration is somehow scared of black Americans. They are limited to, positions of power and all that, simply because of, the white supremacists are afraid of their superiority and their power. So that is why most of these black Americans are finding it hard to, rise through different positions of leadership and, employment and all that. So that is pretty much a good step towards the end of racism and segregation and all that. And I think if all white folks could come out to openly condemn these behaviors and, put in the work to ensure that we have an equal society for everyone, then we are making the right step towards the development of a better state. So thank you so much for watching. Please take a minute to subscribe, like and share so that you can help me get to 5,000 subs. Also, those who are supporting the channel through the Buy Me Coffee in the description, joining the channel membership and all that, I'm really grateful. And share with me your thoughts down below in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.